Hey, all things excellence fam. Today I am going to bring with you some of the top lessons that I learned from the last lesson that I built. And where this came from is I primarily work coaching sessions with women who are in leadership positions or business owners. Some of them have been established for years, some of them are just getting started. And I've been finding myself pulling a lot of lessons lately as we're coaching and working through their sessions from the season where this last business that I built. And this morning in my quiet time, I just started thinking, man, I've been talking about a lot of these same lessons over and over again. And I grabbed a pen and paper and thought, what have I found myself repeating nonstop lately? That these have just been coming up over and over again. And how can I share these with our All Things Excellence listeners? So it was just 11 thoughts that dropped it into my brain and a couple stories behind them. So, first of all, one of the biggest lessons that I learned in my last business was convenience and time can be purchased. And where I remember this very first, I noticed I was at a conference. We had this annual seminar, and I was rooming with my friends Susan and Angela, and they are a little bit older than me, and they'd already had established businesses prior to this. And then we were. This was my, I was definitely 10 years old selling bracelets and creating a bike club and all the things like that. But this was my first really successful established business, and they had established businesses prior to this and were a decade older than me. And so we're down at this conference, and we had to get ready for a gala that night. And I remember this conversation was started going about how we needed to go grab dinner, but we wanted something that was healthy so we could have protein, so we could have energy, but also we needed to be able to save time. And that was the first time that I remember ordering room service, not as a luxury, but as a convenience, and how we can buy back your time. And recently there my co-booster president, she was out sick with her son, so she wasn't able to come and help for a couple weeks. And I was making all these meals that she'd been making. And it got to this point where I thought, I just can't do this anymore. This is so ridiculous. I'm spending hours upon hours putting together ham and cheese sandwiches when Costco sells these for a great price. And so I said, I'm done. I'm out. I'm waving the white flag. I'm going to Costco, and I'm buying all these wraps. Like I'm not making another single ham and cheese sandwich. And she said, "You're really willing to pay for convenience, aren't you?" And I said, "Absolutely, always." And when she said that to me, I thought back to that moment, that first time that I had room service, not as a luxury, but as a convenience and a way to buy back my time, and how I've used that over the years, being able to purchase convenience. Again, buying back my time. Like I was always willing to buy leads as opposed to going out and doing more networking events where I could get leads that way. It's just basically like, how can I throw money at a challenge that I need to solve? The second thing that I found myself repeating a lot lately is about personal accountability. I was a nanny, and I was on a phone call with a coach, but I was growing this business. And I remember her and I having this conversation, and her recommending that I read the book, The Oz Effect. And basically, this book, to summarize it, it's all about having personal accountability for what's going on in your life. And at the time, I was 24. I grew up around quite a few excuses, the blame game. And what I learned from reading that book is if you do not learn to have accountability for your situation you'll always be stuck in your excuses and blame. You're also always going to be stuck at that level of success for the rest of your life. Now, can we look at our lives and go, I didn't choose this, people wronged me, bad situation got me here? Can we technically blame so many other people in our life and situations that has us where we are? Yes, I'm not saying that we can't, but there comes a point when you have to take some accountability to be able to move to a different place in life. And I've just personally found that owning the part of it that I can own so I can release it and move forward as a victor as opposed to a victim has allowed me to move forward and become more successful in life than being stuck in my excuses and my blame game. The third thing I found myself referencing lately is no can mean I don't like peaches, I've already got gum in my mouth, and next. Now, a little bit about this. When somebody tells you no, it is not a personal attack. They are not saying that they don't like you. They are not saying they don't think you're great. You could be the juiciest peach in the whole dang orchard. and someone can just not like peaches. You could be offering a stick of gum and they're like, I literally just put fresh gum in my mouth. Now, will you offer somebody a stick of gum and they'll go, oh my gosh, I've been chewing this piece for an hour. It's so stale. You're an answer to my prayers. I've been hoping and praying somebody would come along and offer me a fresh piece of gum. Oh my gosh, you are selling peaches. I love peaches. I've been craving a peach all day. All I've been thinking about all day was a peach. Absolutely, yes. But again, that's not about you. It's about the peach. It's about the gum. So if somebody tells you no, do not internalize it. It has nothing to do with you. They don't like peaches. They've already got gum. It means next. So no means next. Moving on to the next person, finding the next person that might be hungry for peaches and might be hoping to God somebody's bringing them a fresh piece of gum. The fourth thing is always having 5 sources of leads at all times. This was a really big thing in the last business that I built, that we would train our women. Not only did I sell a product, but I trained hundreds and hundreds of women how to also be successful selling that product. I always train them that you need to have 5 sources of leads at all times. Now, what I've realized lately, a lot of those same principles that I learned in that business, my current business coach is coaching me on those same habits, those same things, getting established. How am I bringing in different leads from different sources? So no matter what kind of business you have, what are your 5 sources of leads that it's causing you to meet new people? Maybe you're volunteering at your kid's school. Maybe you're going to a barbecue. Maybe you're in a Bible study at church. All these various ways. You're not showing up to the Bible study to try and get new clients. That's not what I'm saying. But you are showing up to this anything. You can show up to church, you can show up to the barbecue, you can show up to your kid's soccer game, and you're going to be around people that you're not normally around, and that's going to cause you to increase your circle. So you can count that as a source of lead, but you also need to be looking at other things. Maybe if depending on what your job is, are there vendor booths that you can show up to? Are there networking groups that you can belong to? Are there online networking groups that you can belong to? Thinking about what are the 5 sources of leads at all times that you have, drawing new business into your current business. Number 5, the 80% rule. 80% rule. John Maxwell has this rule about delegation, that if somebody can do it 80% as well as you need to pay them to do it. And you all know I'm a massive advocate of hiring help before you really even know what they are doing. My coach, Amy, was a huge advocate of this 15 years ago when she was very first mentoring me. And I just swung big one night. We had a text conversation about it. I believed her. I went to an event that night. I stated that I was going to get an assistant. A girl walked up to me after. Her name is Shayla. And we went to coffee the next day at Starbucks. And honestly, I wasn't even really nice in the interview because I was pretty convinced that she didn't really understand what she was going to be doing for me. She passed this interview with flying colors and radically changed my business. My business quadrupled in 9 months, y'all. 9 months. I literally went from having $100,000 revenue year to a $400,000 revenue year, but in 9 months' time. And I know that it was because I hired the help before I even knew what she needed to be doing. There were days I hired her to come 10 to 12 hours a week. There would be days where she would show up for work and I would literally take her to go out networking. We would go to the mall. We would go to Target. We would go to all these different places and walk around together, just shopping, but not really spending money, right? Because I didn't have money to spend. And we would meet people out and about. And I would physically pay her to come with me to meet these people. Because again, I needed things delegated. And even in the beginning, when I didn't know what I needed delegated, I brought her networking with me so I would be out there meeting people because I hated doing it alone. And then slowly, as my business was growing, she honestly started creating systems that I didn't even think of. She took my disaster that was all over because I was growing so quickly, and she created systems that made sense to her because she was the one managing it. And I allowed her to do that. Real quick, before we dive back in, I want to share something I created for the women who are growing, but still kind of feel like they're doing it alone. If that statement just hit, then this is for you. I've never felt so aligned and so alone. It's the message I kept hearing as more and more women were falling in love with their life doing what they were born to do. They were craving that like-minded, iron sharpening iron relationship with other women who were as focused, powerful, and determined to be positive as they were. And that is why I created the Growth Collective. It's our All Things Excellence book club community where you don't have to read the book because audio and PDF cliff notes are provided for you. There's a community for you to connect and network with other growth-minded women, plus 2 monthly Zooms where you receive connection and live coaching from me. Head on over to chelseadbc.com/book club to join us. All right, let's get back into it, because what you're hearing today is exactly why spaces like the Growth Collective exist. We were never meant to grow alone. The sixth thing, most of the learning is in the doing. Most of the learning is in the doing. I had a saying in my old business that you cannot build systems for $1 million team with a $100,000 team. And that's because you can't even fathom the systems that you have. I think we spend a lot of time in life getting ready to explode. We think my office needs to be in order. My life needs to be in order. When I get this situated, then I'm going to start working out every day. When I get that organized, then I'm going to allow myself to be successful in this different area of life. And it just doesn't work like that, because you need to find all the ways that don't work first. You need to not compare yourself, and obviously you need to follow the favor. Something that worked really well for me to learn this lesson was early on. I watched how my mom was being wildly successful building her own business, and then I went to build a business really similar to her, but my personality is so different. She's like, her hair is blonde as blonde can be, and my hair is like a very deep dark brunette, and our personalities are the opposite like that as well. And so right away I learned that I needed to do this the way that was best for me, and that I was going to figure out what that was by leaping into this trial and error phase and just figuring it out. Doing the do so I could learn what I loved and what I didn't love. And when I did that, not only did I give myself permission to figure it out and build in a way that was good for me, it also taught me that I always needed to give people that I was leading permission to build the way that was best for them as well. And so I'm always training people that you need to follow the favor. Of course, do we have systems, and there's certain parts of business that they just work. It works well because it works, and you should do that, and you should follow some great advice. But there's also a certain thing to following the favor. And it's a proven fact that when something is meant to grow in the way that you're doing it, it just will, and to follow that. The seventh thing that I've been telling people a lot is that you need to hold and lead people with an open hand. Hold and lead your people with an open hand. I don't care what kind of business you have. If you have people on a team, if you have people that work for you, they're your employers, they're showing up every day. I don't care if they're a 1099 or they're a W-2. At the end of the day, they actually owe you nothing. I think a lot of employers think that their employees owe them because they're employing them and they're giving them a job. And the reality is they owe you nothing. And you owe them everything, because they are the ones that are choosing to show up every single day. At the end of the day, I believe we are all leading a volunteer army, and everyone needs to do what's best for them. I remember when we were leaving Texas and we were moving to Arizona, I felt really bad because I felt like I was abandoning these people. They'd become my friends, and I was working with them, and some were employees, and some were, some were more on my team of this business that I'd built, where I had this team that I was leading and influencing. And I had to constantly remind myself that if they needed to move across the country and leave me, that I would say, you've got to go, because I would always want them to do what was best for them. So I needed to make that decision that was best for me. And remembering that we have to hold and lead people with an open hand, whether they're employees or they're on our team, whatever that kind of employment situation looks like, because all relationships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But most are a reason and a season. It really is very few that is a lifetime. And remembering to give our people grace, because we would hope that they would give that to us as well. Number 8, your business is cyclical. Stop comparing October to January. Start tracking quarters and looking year to year. January 2025 to January 2026. Don't be comparing this month with what happened back in October a couple months ago. It is not comparable. Everything about it is different. This morning I was working with one of my clients, and she had these two events that were scheduled this month, and the attendance is so much lower than her attendance was in the fall. The fall, it was selling out immediately. Like, you basically had to jump on the day that she launched it, because if you wanted to get one of the 12 spots, you had to do it because it was these coveted spots. And the spots are still coveted. The events are still incredible, but there's something about women, getting them to book an event, getting them to commit before the 20th of January. The rate at which you're going to get people to commit is just lower. And I was explaining that business is always cyclical. You've got to start writing this stuff down. You can't compare your attendance to your attendance in October to your attendance in January, because it's a very different season. It's a different situation. And depending on your business, you might have a surge in December or you might have a surge in June. I always think, if you're back to school, like if whatever you offer is back to school, your July and August are going to be off the charts. But your October and September might be terrible. Whereas when you have a coaching business like me, you're working with the women, when they're on vacation with their kids in July and December, I know those are really great months for me to look at strategy, web design, pulling back, and just figuring out my systems that might need tweaked or enhanced, because those women are at home with their kids and they're on vacation. They're not as likely to be booking coaching appointments, trying to figure out what they want to do for the new year. Now, starting this week and next week, they're going to start overbooking my calendar like crazy. And I know that that's going to happen until about the 10th of May, when May-December hits and we've got every last dance recital, band concert, track meet, everything is having its last for the year. And then I know it's going to be pretty slow again until all of the kids get back into school for 2 to 3 weeks and we have a new routine hit. So remember, business is cyclical. Track quarters and year to year, but don't compare your months back to back. Number 9, tracked numbers grow. All of them in weight, business, and finances. So whatever you're tracking is always going to grow. Number 10, my assistants are going to listen to this and they're going to laugh, because this one's for them. I'm constantly saying to them with our clients, we train people how to treat us. We train people how to treat us. We choose to train people to respect us. And until we respect ourselves, no one else is going to respect this. Also, I have a very close family member. We'll go with that. A very close family member that always wants to demand people's respect from them. And I always say, you have to respect yourself before others will respect you. You also can't speak to people in areas where they don't have respect for you. Like, I know, because I don't personally have kids, I haven't personally birthed any children. My brothers have zero respect for any of my advice or guidance as their older sister when it comes to their kids. So I just know that's an area where I keep my mouth shut, right? We train people how to treat us. We choose where people have respect for us. When I talk about we train people how to treat us with my assistants, I'm always telling them, if you're responding 24/7 to people messaging you, then you are training them that you have no boundaries and you're available all the time. And next thing you know, you're going to be bitter because they're wanting you to fix things for them all the time, but you are the reason that's happening. And I see that a lot with clients. They'll get bitter because they feel like family clients, they're walking all over them. And I'll say, well, you train people how to treat you. Did you act like you were available all the time? Were you texting them back at 10:30 at night? Were you available to book an appointment on your normal day off? Your lack of boundaries is just not their problem. And the 11th thing is, I always say, I asked a friend, I said, if there's like one thing that you have really learned from me, if you could only pick one, what would that one thing be? And she said, it's that you have always said, God loves me and everything goes my way, even if I don't quite see it yet. And it is this thing, this knowing that everything always works out for our good, but we have to choose to see it. Because if we're not looking for all the ways that things are going to turn out for our good, we really can only see the ways that the world is against us. We can see the way that the sky is falling and everything is crashing, or we can see how things really will turn out for our good. If you've been here for a little bit, you know I was in a car accident back in May, and I remember standing on the side of the road and looking around thinking, my family is literally here on vacation. I was sitting at a stoplight, and got smashed by this girl going 50 miles an hour from behind. But I know that this will turn out for my good. And it honestly did, y'all. It wasn't the end of the world. My car wasn't injured that bad. None of us were injured. We were all fine. And it actually kind of ended up playing out a little bit in our favor in the long run. It was the weirdest thing. And it just taught me that even car accidents in the long run will always work out for our good, even if it seems like a minor inconvenience at the time. So those are the lessons I just wanted to drop y'all as we're entering into this pivot with the All Things Excellence podcast, where we're really, I told my team, I said, team, we are turning the Titanic from the Anybody and Everybody Grows Club to a deep focus in women in leadership and business who live very full lives. And so I just wanted to bring those quick lessons to you. I know you got a lot going on, your plate is full, and I wanted you to be able to get something that you're, listening to it on your commute, or you're sitting in the pickup line with your kids. Remember, 1, convenience and time can be purchased. Be buying back your time. 2, have self-accountability so you're not stuck in excuses and blame and stuck at the level that you're at forever. 3, no simply means next. 4, have 5 sources of leads at all time. 5, the 80% rule with John Maxwell. Are you delegating? If somebody can do it 80% as well as you, make sure you're paying them to do it. Number 6, the learning is always in the doing. 7, hold and lead people with an open hand. 8, business is cyclical. Be tracking quarters and year to year. Do not compare October to January. 9, tracked numbers grow in weight, business, and finances. 10, we train people how to treat us. And 11, God loves us. Everything goes our way, even if we can't quite figure it out yet, but know that it really will all work out for your good. Thank you, All Things Excellence fam, for listening. If you are interested in working together, not only have we pivoted the direction of this podcast, but we've really pivoted the direction of my offers. You can go to chelseadbc.com, where you can see we're offering the book club for women in business and leadership. We are offering single clarity sessions and our brand new thing called the leadership container, where if you, again, are a woman in leadership or business, it is a space where you and I will have a scheduled monthly coaching call and in between session support, just to help you navigate all the things of life as you're going through. And I think we have 3 spots left at our pilot offer. So make sure you check it out quick. Thanks for listening, All Things Excellence fam, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.